What if I told you that two of those images are the reason the US government went to war with the third? The 1950s weren't just about perfect lawns and white picket fences. They were about banning, discouraging, or erasing 20 common garden fruits that had fed families for generations. By the time this was over, most Americans had completely forgotten these foods ever existed. I'm talking about fruits that were deemed too messy, too complex, or too dangerous to the commercial system. Hey everyone, I'm Farmer Jem and welcome back to the operation. We talk a lot about modern farming, but today we're digging up some history that tells us why our supermarket shelves are so boring. We're covering the real, concrete reasons these unique crops were eliminated from the American kitchen and garden. Our mission is to bridge that disconnect between food producers and consumers. We're going to break this down into three simple categories of why they were abandoned. The war on commercial risk. The war on mess and complexity. The war on regional food and traditional knowledge. By the end, you'll understand how our food system was completely changed, and I'll tell you which of these I'm working on bringing back. This first reason is the most dramatic. It's where a backyard fruit became a national enemy of large-scale agribusiness. The pine blister rust culprits, fruits like gooseberries and black currants, were banned in many states because they served as alternate hosts for white pine blister rust, a disease that was devastating America's timber industry. The federal government launched an aggressive eradication campaign, making it illegal to grow, sell, or transport them. Black currants in particular were seen as the primary host for the disease. The wheat stem rust culprit. Then you have barberries. They were banned across much of America because they served as an alternate host for wheat stem rust, a fungal disease that could devastate grain crops. Homeowners were required to remove existing bushes, all to protect America's grain supply. The chestnut disaster. And finally, there's the sad story of the American chestnut. It wasn't banned by a person, but by chestnut blight, a fungal disease that wiped out nearly 4 billion trees by the 1950s, ending their role as a crucial food source and the backbone of Appalachian economies. So you have a fungus wiping out chestnuts, and the government wiping out currants and barberries. The next two categories are less about the mandate and more about a cultural shift in the American backyard. The 1950s brought an obsession with a tidy, controlled landscape and a demand for convenience foods. If a fruit didn't look perfect or required any knowledge to prepare, it was out. Too messy? The mulberry fell victim to suburban aesthetics. These trees were seen as nuisances because their sweet berries would drop and stain sidewalks, driveways, and cars. City ordinances began restricting them in residential areas in the name of neighborhood cleanliness and property values. Homeowners associations preferred ornamental trees that produced nothing edible. Too confusing, American persimmons pimmons were discouraged simply due to widespread confusion about ripeness. Too many people bit into unripe fruit and experienced that intensely astringent mouth-puckering sensation. As traditional knowledge of waiting until after the first frost faded, persimmons gained a reputation as unpalatable. Too complicated, the medlar was abandoned because its unique ripening process called bledding seemed too strange and complicated for modern culture. The fruit must be allowed to soften and partially decay before it's edible. It results in a brown, mushy fruit, which didn't align with the 1950s preference for fruits that looked perfect and could be eaten immediately. The last set of forgotten fruits were eliminated because they didn't fit the new model of standardized agriculture. Commercial farms needed crops that could be shipped well and grown nationwide, not regional treasures. The commercial viability problem. The pawpaw was actively discouraged by agricultural extensions because it didn't fit the commercial model. It doesn't ship well, has a short shelf life, and can't be mechanically harvested. It was a productive native fruit sacrificed on the altar of commercial viability. The flavor exile. The quince was largely abandoned because they are too hard and tart to eat fresh. They were perfect for preserves and jellies, but the decline of home food preservation meant the quince lost its primary purpose. Likewise, choke cherries were discouraged due to safety concerns about their astringent taste, even though they transform into excellent jellies and syrups when properly cooked with sugar. The reclassification. The serviceberry, juneberry, and sand cherry were reclassified. Serviceberries were marketed solely for their spring flowers and fall color, completely ignoring their edible berries. Sand cherries were recommended for erosion control, ignoring their food value entirely. Now, those were the biggest stories. But to cover all 20 victims of this shift, we need to acknowledge the others who were quietly pushed out of the garden. The other victims, quickfire round. The beach plum and wild grapes were seen as too wild or too aggressive for well-manicured yards. Crab apples were exiled to ornamental status, seen as inferior to large, sweet apples. Huckleberries were eliminated as commercial blueberry production expanded, with growers preferring the larger, more uniform commercial berry. Mayhaw was a regional specialty discouraged because it couldn't be easily grown nationwide. Cornelian cherries were seen as too European and old-fashioned. And finally, the autumn olive was initially promoted for erosion control, but quickly banned for becoming a successful invasive species. The common thread through all 20 of these stories is the shift away from diversity and hardiness towards standardization and convenience. But here's the good news. Many of these so-called banned or forgotten fruits are making a comeback as people rediscover their intense flavor and hearty nature. It just goes to show you that the past often holds the keys to a more resilient future. So here's my question for you. Which of these forgotten fruits would you most want to grow in your own garden? Let me know in the comments below. And if this story about the real history of our food system opened your eyes, hit that like button and subscribe. It helps us continue to bridge this gap between the farm and your kitchen. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.